This lesson's about figurative language. Figurative language adds layers of meaning and depth to a poem and makes a poem interesting, engaging, and hopefully entices its audience to read the poem all the way through to the end, and maybe even again and again. Figurative language is the language of poetry. Without figurative language, a poem is going to be boring. Just saying what you feel and think isn't enough to keep your audience interested. Emotions written on the page aren't enough to keep your audience interested. You can write an essay or a diary to do those. The most important of all this figurative language is imagery, though all figurative language adds to a poem. Imagery allows your audience to see or feel or taste or smell or hear what the poem is about. It puts us there, providing immediacy and sensory impact. For example, Part 1 of T.S. Eliot's Preludes uses a number of types of figurative language, but imagery is the most important. The winter evening settles down with smell of steaks in passageways. 6 o'clock, the burnt out ends of smoky days. And now a gusty shower wraps the grimy scraps of withered leaves about your feet and newspapers from vacant lots. The showers beat on broken blinds and chimney pots, and at the corner of the street, a lonely cab horse steams and stamps, and then the lighting of the lamps. See how vivid the sensory images are in that poem? That's what keeps your audience reading. But because it's a poem, we know it's about more than just a description. The imagery is creating a mood and letting us feel the poverty, exhaustion, and perhaps even despair or hopelessness the people in the neighborhood feel. But then the lighting of the lamps at the end gives hope. That's a symbol. The personification in the poem also gives the place personality and emotions that help with all this. The burned out ends of smoky days is a metaphor. It adds to this also, making us feel some of that exhaustion and despair. The other parts of the poem, which I didn't include here, takes all this further. There are many types of figurative language, but here are some basic ones. An allusion makes a comparison to another work or character. He's the Romeo to my Juliet. That's a reference to the Shakespeare play Romeo and Juliet. Hyperbole exaggerates to make a point. He was dying of boredom. No, he wasn't, but you get the idea. Idiom is a figure of speech that only makes sense when spoken figuratively, not literally, like I'm ready to hit the sack. It's also kind of a cliche, but you get the idea. Metaphor compares two unlike things that share an attribute by saying one is the other. My house is a three-ring circus. Metonymy uses one word to represent a common link to a larger concept. Can you give me a hand? Personification gives human-like attributes to a non-human thing. The leaves danced in the wind. A simile compares two unlike things using like or as. You're as pretty as a picture. Symbolism uses an object to represent something else. The boy waved his flag as the soldiers returned home. Obviously, the flag becomes symbolic of their country or whatever it is they were fighting for. Synecdoche uses one part of a noun to describe the whole noun. I've got 4 mouths to feed at home. Well, it's children, but the mouths are part of the children. Okay, so those are just some examples. Again, there are many other forms, and in the course, there are many different tools in there that talk more about figurative language and help you figure out what ones mean what they are.